Welcome to the next episode of God Conscious Organizations. And in the previous episode, we shared with you about Focolare Movement and Chiara Lubick and Lopiano as well, which is home for, or it's called Citadel for Focolare Movement. And we did mention that from here, we'll take you on to the economy of communion, which came as a result of the movement that started. So Focolare was a movement which started in the time of war. So it was basically a movement for peace and spreading love around. But what is the practical thing that came out of it was the economy of communion as it progressed. And we have Professor Alejandro here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Anika, for inviting me. Nice to see you.
Thank you. So he's going to share with us basically the principles of the economy of communion and how is this different from, say, for example, starting a cooperative. This is the question I'll pose to him. So basically I was just reading up, and the economy of communion, there are 761 businesses on you're following these principles of the economy of communion. So how are these different to, say, for example, cooperatives or social enterprises that we start? And just keeping up with the theme of our series, which is God Conscious Organizations as well, this just kind of fits in well. So welcome, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, yes, actually, we were in Italy last September, and we met the leadership of the economy of communion. And we have dinner with them, and to my surprise, there are more than 1,000 already. It's very amazing, and because they are growing. It's something that keeps growing all over the world. Yes. I would say that there are three characteristics of a company that becomes or is inspired by the economy of communion. And the first characteristic is that it's based on reciprocity. And the idea of reciprocity is this idea that in everything that we do as human beings, there is this connection between the giving and the receiving. So we give and we receive. The more we give, the more we receive. And it's not on material things, but it's on spiritual things as human beings, right? So I give a little of time, and I have a dinner with you, and we talk about friendship, and that time that I give in our encounter, I receive much more than what I'm giving. So that is in a personal level, but that also from an organizational point of view is that idea how our company can be motivated by the giving of ourselves as an organization. That is the first characteristic. The second one is the freedom to do something more than only making money, right? Which is fine and is necessary. And the idea is making money is like breathing. If we don't breathe, we died. If a company is not making money, it dies, it goes bankrupt. So the purpose of the company is not making money. Making money is part of being a company, but the purpose of the company is much higher than making money. And the third characteristics is this idea of what we can do in our personal location, where we the foundation of our organization is living, right? Is the companies in the US, or is in the UK, or is in Pakistan, or is in Argentina. And in that part, how we are having a personal impact that is making that place better off than before we came as an organization in this part of the world. So those three things are the foundation of the economy of communion.
Thank you very much. And it makes perfect sense because as you rightly said in the previous episode, that the spirituality, the impulse of Focolare wasn't just to focus on spirituality alone, but practically what comes out of it. And this is what I really, really appreciate about this. And you and I were together in Lopiano, and we went to Polo as well, which is the hub for the economy of communion and the civil economy. That comes out of that spiritual purpose is what I really admire, and I've learned a lot from it. Because when I started my own the solidarity economy, this is what I was actually proposing. I didn't know too much about the economy of communion at that time, I must confess. I knew about Focolare, but now I'm learning more that not just about spirituality, but how do we practically imply and put everything, those values, into practice. And not just for myself, because my spirituality for myself is fine. How is it helping the community or the society on a the greater good, as we call it?
What is very interesting is what is different from other organizations or companies that they are not economy of communion is the logic that is behind the company. And in order to continue with your idea of spirituality, is that we as human beings, we are both at the same time spiritual beings and material beings. We cannot be one or the other. We have to be the two at the same time. The problem is that when we are doing business and in the business world, usually we forget about the spiritual part and we focus more only on the material part, which is a more utilitarianism type of way of conducting. We are focused on accumulating on ourselves. We are this idea of competition that we have to win on top of the others, and is a way that is creates a culture of egocentrism and a culture of throwaway that the Pope Francis called throwaway. We accumulate a lot of things, we throw them, and we keep accumulating other things, and people become things and not human beings. So there is not an encounter, there is not a communion, there is individualism working with others. The economy of communion brings the spirituality into the body of the company, saying, actually, we are both spiritual. And so as a company that leaves only the material part of the human person is making products and selling things, but treating other human beings not as human beings but as things, as resources. That is that type of thrown away culture that Pope Francis calls in Laudato Si, based on my own well-being, individual, right? The economy of communion tries to break that by saying we are spiritual beings, and in our work, when we are producing and selling products and being in the markets, yes, it's a good thing to sell and produce, but I have to treat other people with the human dignity that they deserve. They are not things, they are other human beings that we have to encounter them and work together to create a communion in the organization, right? And that sense of communion make our organizations work better. So the inspiration, instead of being individualistic and materialistic, is going to be more based on the care. I care about you. You care about me. We work together. We trust more about each other. We are going to be more productive. And at the end, the most foundational part of our spiritual is the love. At the end, why I care about the others? Because I love, as a human person, the most important potentiality that we have is the potential to love other human beings. And that is not at home only, but also is in our encounters with other human beings. And if in our organization, we are able to express that love, caring for other peoples in a genuine way, our economy of communion, our organization is going to be more trustworthy, more efficient, and people are going to love to be there and not to be in another company that is the opposite, right? So that is why it's different from a traditional organization. It's based on the that inspiration that Chiara Lubrick had when she said, as a business, we should be able to transform our work, the way that we work, with our spiritual focus based on love, because as human beings, this is our anthropology. Our true anthropology is to love every other human beings. What happens if we do that at work? We are going to transform the way that we work, and we are going to transform how other people are going to work with us.
But easier said than done, because as I always say, that it's, yes, all the spiritual or moral values and ethics are there, but when you are in the marketplace, it's like business as usual. I just love the fact you use the word encounter.
Yes.
Which is, that we encounter each other, and also, we encounter humans, but then there's divinity present as well, as we believe from the Abrahamic faith traditions. So it becomes very sacred, it's the vocation, its work becomes holy and, sacred for us, that we are working or creating business for the greater good, the common good. For all of us.
I totally agree, and it's super important, that point. And this is amazing, that how in the Islamic world and the Christian Catholic world, actually we can talk about the same similar spirituality, that we can make the world a sense of a blessing, in which we are blessed and we are blessing others, and it's a sense of blessing for us. And if we recognize that there is a creator, actually God is calling us to do the type of work that I'm doing, maybe at the bank, maybe at the organization, maybe at this particular company, in order to be truly human, love others, do my work professionally, and have a different culture. Create what Chiara Lubrick called the new human person, right?
Yes.
So it's very, very interesting. Yes.
Yeah, the personhood in community, that you are the individual, but you are part of the community.
Yes.
Which is beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, go on.
You said it's difficult. It's not easy to do. And something that I've been studying the organizations, the economies of communion, and they do it with three different goals, which are, the first one is we have to change the culture. We cannot do anything if we don't change the culture that each one of us we are bringing, right? Which is the way in which we see, say, everyone in my organization that I want to create. I want to inspire people to see others as a source of blessing, and to give ourselves, not our things, but give ourselves in the work. When you are with someone in a meeting, when you are supervising another person, that you are, yes, I'm the supervisor, but the other person is a human person, and I should treat that person with love, dignity, right? If I do that, my way of working change, and the encounter in the work is going to change. That is not going to happen if there is not an intentionality for the business leader to make that change in the culture. So that is what has to happen, right? The change in the culture. The other thing that they do is 1/3 of the profits, right? They put the profits for them, but then the other 1/3 is going to be used to the community in which the company is operating. And that third is in order to find any necessity that we need to do something for this community. And the last third of the profits are in order to recreate, improve, create a human development within our organization so we can keep growing in this, how we live this in our own particular organization. It's not that you change the focus and then forever. We have to always keep improving, learning, making mistakes, improving, and that is a very interesting thing. So they took at the profits and they said, these profits, 1/3 is for the company, reinvest in the company, 1/3 is to reinvest in the community, 1/3 is to reinvest in the people in the economy of communion.
But as I mentioned last time as well, and I keep thinking about this, that who do we call our community? Because as we are living in cities, which are, like jungles of humans nowadays, it's like your neighbor doesn't even know who you are. So who are our communities then? Yes, it always is either a faith group, mostly faith groups, like that's why we are divided. Oh, this is the Muslim group, this is the Catholic Christian group, and then Protestants and the and Quakers and all that. So they become the communities themselves, right?
Yes.
But it's easier in a place like maybe Lopiano, where it's a small community of 800 people who kind of know each other so they can work together. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think Chiara Lubrick has a very simple answer to that. The community is any other human person that is there with me, right, in a relationship. It doesn't have to be from my same religion or from my same family, right? If I'm working with you and we have a team with people from different religions, we are all human beings. That is not going to make me that my community is only the group that thinks like me, or they have my own faith beliefs. That is not the idea of community. The community is every encounter in which I'm encountering another human person at work, in the office. So communities are going to be more real, right? And is every time I'm working with another human person. Is at home with my wife and kids. Of course, that is a community, but also is in my office as a teacher, or in my classroom when I'm teaching. And when I'm working with others, if I'm in the company, right? If I'm the CEO, I'm responsible to make my whole community, my whole organization, a set of communities, right? But every a manager is creating their own community with the people that they are working with.
This is music to my ears and to, I think, everybody's ears, really, because, it kind of just hits home, the message that you are saying. And it seems very simple, but it's not easy, I would say. I mean, you know that you work with communities. I've been trying myself with communities, and I feel like we still somehow love this fragmentation, this duality of us and them, and
them,
and religion, and the division. And I'm sorry to say that we would think that in a 21st century we would have evolved into better people, but not. We are more kind of divided. And all these messages somehow get lost, which just hurts that, there have been people, prophets, saints, sages, who always appear to give us this message.
I agree with you. I think that even Chiara Lubrick, when she started with this inspiration, was World War II. People were killing each other in a very dramatic and horrendous way that never before, right? And in the midst of that horrendous reality, there was a group of people that they said, let us live as brothers and sisters. Doesn't matter who you are or where you are coming from. You are my brother, you are my sister. Let us create communities. Of course, that doesn't change the whole world, but that changed my own community. And because of that, I think that this is very appealing to many people all over the world in different countries, because it's a universal truth, right? So and the people that they see it and they want to start applying this, the only way to see how true this is by take the steps. Start changing yourself, your community with this practical. As you said, it seems easy, but the difficult part is to make the decision to be truly human with other human beings in business, in the work.
Yes. And I think you and I and many others need to just keep on reiterating, these messages are reminders for us as well that we forget.
Yeah.
And there have been these golden, words spoken by these sages and, beautiful people who just appear and give the message. And I think this is the time again that, we need these messages again to be, because we forget, we need to hear these messages again. But thank you so much. Yeah. This was very beautiful. I just love whatever you're saying. But coming back to the practical side, because, it's kind of an offering to people who would listen and maybe get inspired. So that what is different about an economy of communion business? And you said that community could be just you and me. It's our encounter, and we can start something together. There's two people, which would be then eventually 4, and keeps on multiplying. So, and it's not a matter of religion, it's a matter of faith. Whoever has faith and belief in something greater than ourselves can, come together. And it becomes a communion of or solidarity of those souls coming together.
I agree, and the big difference between the two models that I mentioned, the model of communion is the logic of giving, and it's not giving things or charity in material things, but giving oneself as a human being. When I give myself as a human being to another human being, only by being present, right, by listening to you, by having, if we have half an hour encounter, right? Actually, I'm present, and you are important, and I'm trying to learn from you, and I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to try to, if you ask me something, I'm going to try to be truthful. And in that encounter, when we finish that encounter, we are better off. So in order to do that, the first, what we need is humility. The humility of, I'm going to give myself. That means I have something little to give, but I have more to receive. Usually the other economy, which is the economy of accumulating, is based not on humility, but it's based on the opposite, which is the arrogance that I'm the first, the center, and the more I accumulate or I get, the better I am, which means
and
I'm better than all the others. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have to show you that I'm better than you, more intelligent, that I have more degrees, and all these things, right? And that, instead of creating a communion, what creates is a comparison, a show off, and there is no humility. And the more
this reminds me. Yeah, this reminds me of a saying of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He said that the biggest charity is your smile, smiling to other person. It's not about giving money. Yes, give. If you have, give. If you don't have, just smile. That love and care, as you said, reciprocity of, just sharing and caring for each other. And this is what we need to maybe, bring back into our consciousness, that, especially people like us who live in very, busy cities, that we also forget to smile at each other.
Yes, and I agree that is the connection between the spiritual and the material, right? As true spiritual beings incarnated in material bodies, right? Yes, if I'm busy, and if I have a lot of money, I can help giving a lot of money, but I'm not never present, right? Giving myself. So the ideal for economy of communion encountering is if I have material things, I share those material things, but also I should share my being with others. I should make time to be with others. So it's the combination of the two, the charity, material charity, and the donation of the human person in the time, in the being present with other human beings. If that doesn't happen, one without the other is not true communion. We need a true communion of a spirit and body. Material things.
Fraternity of brotherhood and sisterhood. That we see each other brothers and sisters. It kind of resonates with the message of Ahuat. The Mu'ahat message is exactly the same, that we are all brothers and sisters, and how similar the message is, but in our own parts of the world. But I think that also brings in the integral economics, about Ronnie Lessam and Alexander Schiffer. They wrote about this, was about the particularity, the culture, that we could have the same values and same moral ethics and values, but again, I do have a particular kind of my own grounding in my culture that might be different, but we do meet in the middle, in the center. The moral core is the same.
Exactly. So that brings that idea of humility, right? Saying, yes, how much more I need to learn from others, right? Not to learn about things only, but to learn from others, the wisdom that other people have in other areas. When we are sharing the same grounding, the same place where we are living, or the same work that we are doing, even if you are in the UK and I'm in Argentina, the capacity that we have time to get together and talk about these things makes of us, right, a community in a space that is online, but is real as well, right? Because we are able to connect each other. It's very amazing.
Yes. Thank you. This was really beautiful. So as I said before, that we started from a Mondragon, Focolare, today economy of communion, and the next step is the economy of Francisco. And we can then talk about that, and then maybe bring in Ahuat, and I can speak about Mu'ahat, and the concept is similar, brotherhood of sharing and caring, which I call solidarity. But thank you for your time. This was lovely.
Thank you, Anika. Good afternoon to you.
And to you. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.